Hi, I'm Mark, I'm the Canoe Man, and hopefully you've received from us your directions and you've arrived at our site. So you should now be standing by the river. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk you through a short instructional video as far as getting on the water and getting on safely in terms of fitting your buoyancy aids, how to get into the boat, how to get the boat into the water, all those sorts of bits. And what we'll do is we'll start off by initially looking at the boat that we've got here today. So as you can see from the boat, yeah, they are identical at both ends. So working out which is the front and the back usually confuses most people. But it's very easy. All you need to do, look at the seats. Whichever seat, all right, is actually closest to the pointy end is the back seat. Back seat is where the biggest paddler, the heaviest paddler sits. It's all to do with the steering. All right, so you put your heaviest paddler at the back, next heaviest at the front, and if you've got a three-seater boat, then you're going to put anybody else in the middle. Front and back paddlers need to paddle on opposite sides of the boat. Okay, and person in the middle again can paddle wherever is convenient. And in fact, they don't need to paddle at all if they don't want to. Right, once you find your boat, which is quite easy really, because you'll find that the boats are laid out, they've got paddles in them, and they've also got a big blue dry bag. There will be a label attached to that dry bag. It's got your name on it. So find the boat that is yours, find the dry bag that is yours, and then open it up. Once you get inside, you're going to have buoyancy aids that we think are going to fit you. All right, we've taken your ages and your sizes and we've put in their buoyancy aids which should be perfect for you. Buoyancy aids come in several different sizes. All right, starting from the little ones, which are bright yellow, then working up to a black and a silver. Now, black and silver is often ideal for older or young teenagers, and then moving up to a red, which is a medium large, and then you get a blue, which is a large extra large, and then you get a green, which is an XXL. There is an awful lot of adjustment in these buoyancy aids. You can, to be honest with you, get a very big person in a very small buoyancy aid. The medium, for example, if I open it up fully, I can just about squeeze into, and I've got a 48-inch chest, so if they fit me, they'll fit most people. So let's take a quick look at a buoyancy aid. And what you want to do is you want to take a look at it. They have adjustments on the shoulders, here, where you can tighten them in or let them out. They have adjustments around the middle, okay, and that is that big broad band here that you can see. And then there's these ones around the bottom of the waist as well, which adjust out. If you put it on and you find that your shoulders are up round your ears, it probably means that somebody very little was wearing it before you. So you put it on like a jacket. Your best starting place is to do the zip up, and that'll give you an idea whether it's about the right size or not. If at this point it's too tight or it's too loose, now is the time to adjust the shoulders. All right, you can then adjust the waist, the big one in the middle, and all you do with these, once they're clipped in, you just pull them back again. Same with the ones down the bottom. Clip them together, pull the ends, tighten them up. Shoulders are fine, the zip's done up. All right, and the aim is that you won't fall out the bottom of them. Okay, and once that's comfortable, you're about ready to go. Often pays to actually work together in your pairs or in your family groups and check everybody's clips. The ones that are most forgotten tend to be these ones down here, because once you've got your buoyancy aid on, you can't actually see them anymore. Great, okay, now we've hopefully got your buoyancy aid fitted safely. So you should be feeling secure in that. Next move from here, we need to get the boat into the water. Where you're dropping a boat into the water, the easiest way is to put one end in first. All right, everybody seems to be tempted to try and drop it in sideways. If you try to do that, it has a tendency of trying to drag you in with it. So what we strongly recommend is you just grab hold of one end of the boat, Yeah, making sure you're hanging on to the painter, because it'll be rather useful rather than it floating away. And just slide the boat towards the river, putting one end in. Yeah, and you can actually just slide it straight out, as long as you're holding on to the rope. Right, once you've got the boat alongside the bank here, yeah, you're always going to be working at least pairs if there's not three of you. So the best way to work this is to get somebody to hang on to the boat for you whilst you climb in. It's very then easy for you, whilst you're in the boat, to hang on to something on the bank whilst they climb in. So yeah, it's all about teamwork and coordination. So from here, you're looking, if you imagine that there was a line drawn down the middle of the boat, you always want to keep your weight to the middle of the boat. These are pretty stable until you step on the edges. Okay, so you're going to step from the bank to the middle of the boat. Okay, and then you want to get your weight down as quickly as you can to the low point, bring your other foot in and sit yourself down. You coming in, Soups? Come on in. In you come. Cool. So at this point, obviously you have somebody else with you. You would then grab hold of the bank and give them the opportunity to get in the boat. Once you've done that, and you've got the dogs aboard, of course, yeah, you're ready to go. Next bit we need to cover is going to be the paddling. Great, okay, so we're nearly there. We're getting close to getting on the water and getting away. Let's look at the paddles, all right? You will find that the paddles look all fairly similar to this. What you will find also is they have bands on them. Usually bright orange, sometimes a bit muddy. One band means a tall paddle, two bands, middle size, three bands, shorter paddle. You'll also find some really short paddles if you've got some little people with you. Okay, so obviously paddle height relates to your height. So if you're tall, have a tall one. If you're short, have a short one. From here, you're going to put your top hand on there, roll your fingers round, thumb down the side, other hand on the paddle shaft where it's comfortable, not too high up, not too low down. Watch out for the bit where your thumb comes between the paddle and the side of the canoe. Alright, you'll only do it once, either raise your hand up a little bit or drop it down a little bit. So you're literally going to reach forwards, bury the blade underwater, pull it back as far as your hips, lift it out and keep doing the same thing. Important that the blade is underwater, yeah, and the more vertical that you can keep the paddle, the straighter the boat will go. There is a tendency for people at the front to sit there and do this, yeah, and when they do that, it makes the boat spin round, makes it very difficult for the person who's steering to try and keep the boat under control. Good. In terms of brakes, there are none. So as you're careering down the river into the trees and the bushes, your only options are reverse paddle. Paddle in at the back, push the water forwards, keep doing it until the boat slows down. If that fails and you're still careering towards the tree or the bush, very gently fend away. Use the paddle to push yourself gently away from the bank. And if that fails, then just cover your face, lean forwards or backwards and scream. Alright, do not lean sideways. 2, 3 of you in one canoe leaning it all in one direction results in two things really. One, you feel a little bit wet, and two, you'll hear a lot of laughter if there's anybody else around. So yeah, the best bet, lean forwards or backwards and the boat will remain stable. Okay, so we covered the steering for the people in the front of the boat and the middle of the boat. Person at the back, as we've already said, is the person who does the steering, which is fairly important if you don't want to end up in the trees. So what they're going to do, they're going to do a normal forward stroke, same as everybody else, but instead of lifting the paddle out, they take it all the way to the back and they turn it upright. And they use it basically like a rudder, so they either push water away from the back of the boat or they reach out and they pull water towards the back of the boat. It's important that they do it as far back as they can comfortably reach, and also make sure that the blade is completely covered. Okay, so we're now very nearly there. All we just need to do is just to cover possible implications of things going wrong. So obviously the worst situation is that the boat turns over. That is highly unlikely to happen. Very few people ever turn the boat over, and if they do, it's generally because they're larking about. So if that happens, in the event of that happening, generally speaking, at most of our sites the rivers are small like this. They're not very deep, and all you do is you literally just take the boat to the side, empty it out, climb back in and carry on. Very rarely is it any different to that, and to be honest with you, we have so few capsizes, it's barely worth mentioning. Okay, right, we've been through the canoeing, and as far as the paddling goes and launching of your boat. Some of you are going to be going out in kayaks or in stand-up paddleboards. So what we need to do, we need to briefly cover that, and that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, so you've turned up and you will find that your kit and your boat is laid out like this. Generally, if none of our operatives are around, there will be a name plaque on it, just to let you know that it is yours. Buoyancy aids will be in the dry bag, and you can use the dry bag for your kit if you wish to. So all you do then is you'll get a wonderful assistant called Ellen to come along and give you a hand to move the boat. If you can try and lift the boats rather than drag them. Launching is the same as with the canoes. Put them over at the front, hanging onto them and swing them round to the side. Okay, so when it comes to getting into your kayak, once we've got the kayak onto the water, all right, there is a bit of a drop usually from the bank down to the kayak itself, and what you need to do, you need to get your centre of gravity as low as possible. So your best bet is to actually sit yourself down, get your bum sitting on the side beside the kayak, yeah, and then you're going to swing your legs round, put them into the boat itself, and then from there very swiftly move yourself across and put your bum across onto the boat. Keeping your centre of gravity low will always make sure that you're very stable. Okay, so getting out of the kayak is literally a reverse of getting in. So you want to get your paddle out of the way so that doesn't interfere with you. Again, get somebody to hang on to the boat so it doesn't swing about. All right, and then you're going to lift yourself up, again keeping your centre of gravity low at all times. Okay, so covered kayaks, covered canoes, now we're down to paddleboards. Here's your paddleboard. What you're going to do, you're going to pick that up, carry it across to the water and carefully launch it. Highly recommended when you're getting on these for the first time, do not try to stand on them immediately. Make sure that you've got your leash attached, so if you step onto the board and it disappears, it doesn't go too far. And you're far better off to kneel on the board initially. When moving your stand-up paddle boards, always go careful to avoid crushing the fin that's on the back. So they tend to be lifted out from the back end and then lifted off the floor. Right, now we're going to get you on the river. Just a few things you need to know about rules of the river and stuff. Generally accepted rule of the river is that you stay to the right, so that's opposite to driving. Hang on the right hand side. In reality, for a lot of our sites where there are no other craft, top end of the Bure like this at Buxton, it doesn't matter what side you go on, there are no other boats up there. Down at Wroxham, Norwich, Beccles, there might be a few motorboats flying around. Ideally you want to be on the right hand side of the river. It's not the end of the world if you're on the left. Just stay in close to the edges. Canoes are small enough that they don't get in the way, and motorboats are usually clever enough to work out and they stay away from you. Okay, the other thing that you might encounter, and this is in particular at our Buxton trips and coming down from Aylsham, is some portages. A portage comes from the French word portage, and it basically means going around an obstacle that's stuck in the river. In our case, these are the old locks that used to be used for moving the wherries up and down the rivers. They are now blocked off, and we have to get out to get round them. So literally all you're going to do is climb out of your boat at the marked point. You take your boat round, ideally carrying it or dragging it on the grass, dropping it back in the other side, and then relaunching. Most of the portages are very, very short, and obviously you'll be notified about them. They're on your map so that you know when they're coming up. And finally, when you get back, a couple of things that are important. One, that we know that you're back safely. So can you drop us a text, give us a quick call, whatever, some means of communication just to say that you're safe. I'd like you to put your buoyancy aids back into the bag that you got them from, and basically leave them as you found them would be ideal. And ultimately, depending where you are, is going to determine how you finish with the boat. What we will do is we'll show you the options available. So at Norwich, you're going to be tying up to a pontoon. At Wroxham, generally speaking, there'll be somebody there to help you get the boat out and leave it on the grass. And at Buxton, there is an area that is marked for dirty boats where you just flip your boat up on its edge and leave it with all the rest of the boats. Great, finally, I think we're there. We've covered everything we need. You've got your buoyancy aids, we've got your boat's in the water, you're all ready to rock. We obviously hope you have a wonderful time and enjoy your trip. If for any reason you have any issues, something that concerns you, there is an emergency number that's going to show up on the screen now. It's also on your paperwork or your emails that you've been sent as confirmation. Don't hesitate, give us a shout, and we will try our best to resolve any issues that you might have.